Hey guys, Silven here. Today we're going to learn how to get into Nightmare Zone and learn the best melee XP, the best points, and the most AFK methods for the RuneScape idiot. This guide will teach you how you can set up your account to do melee at Nightmare Zone, whether your goal is fast points, best XP rates, or the most AFK method, so that you're not XP wasting while enthusiastically watching the newest episode of Swampletics. This video will include quest requirements, how to get there, gear setups and methods, and general tips. One thing to note is that you can definitely use range and magic here and they're great, but when I wrote everything up it was way too long, so I decided to cut that and focus purely on melee. To do Nightmare Zone, you pick a method, either AFK, XP farm, or point farm, then grab your gear and cash. Once you got that, go to the Nightmare Zone area at Yanil and speak to Dominic. You'll want to create a custom rumble, which will infinitely spawn selected monsters for you to fight. They will cost 22k for a normal mode and 26k for hard mode, which you can just keep in the coffer near him to save an inventory space. Then you need to drink the potion to pick your enemies and go into the dream. Whilst in the dream, once you die, you'll be safely transported out and have to start again. The enemies can be picked from previously defeated bosses during quests that we've already completed. The quest requirements are 5 of the following that unlock the following bosses. The more you do, the better, but for the minimum, we'll just need these 5. Now for the best XP methods, you'll need to complete these quests and unlock these bosses. These bosses give bonus XP artificially when hit, so you'll level up faster with the higher XP rates. That is an optional though, as he knocks you back and can disrupt your XP. For the best points, you'll have majority of the quests complete, as the more bosses you have in the arena, the more points you get. I can't list the full requirements here because there's like 50 quests, but you can look at the wiki. Once you've started earning points, you may buy very useful rewards. Here are a few examples of the key ones and the main reason you'll be doing Nightmare Zone. Herb boxes, they cost 9.5k points and contain 11 herbs worth around 10k in total on average. This is literally how we change our points into gold. However, you can only buy 15 per day, so if you earn a lot more points, you'll have to wait a few days to withdraw your gold. Scrolls of Redirection, when used on house teleport tabs, they can be changed into teleports that are not normally accessible on the tabs. Certain items, including rings, crystal weapons, and the Slayer helms, can be imbued to improve their stats or effects. These are really important as it doubles the ring stats, and for the Slayer helm, it actually works with range and mage now, so you'll find a lot of people getting this very early on. And powerful potions. The super range and the super magic have a much bigger boost than normal potions. The absorption potions, which absorb the next 50 damage you take each dose, and the overload potions, which deal 50 damage to yourself and then give you a boost of super attack, defense, strength, range, and magic potion. Every 15 seconds this will reapply, so your stats will stay maxed for the 5-minute duration, after which your 50 health sacrifice will be returned to you. Now let's look at how to get there. I'm only going to list 3 quick methods, as there's like 50 different ways to get there as a core area of the map. First off, the best method is the Nightmare Zone minigame teleport. I'm not 100% sure if you have to unlock it by visiting first, but if you do, you can just use a Castle Wars teleport or just walk from Artie. I'd personally just recommend using the minigame teleport as it takes you directly there and there's no reason to use anything else. Failing that, the Watchtower teleport is also a great teleport, especially if you have the hard diaries completed, as you could just teleport right next to it as well. So the first thing to note is the methods that don't use prayer or guthans require the potion rewards from Nightmare Zone. This means you will have to use either a prayer method or a guthans method for about an hour to farm the 100k points required for an inventory of potions. Secondly, the XP and points I give are just a guide, as your gear and your levels can vary greatly from person to person. Just as a general rule of thumb, the more AFK you are, the less XP and points you'll get, but you can still get a decent amount with the setups I give you. Let's start with the AFK method. It's designed to be totally AFK while only having to click once every 20 minutes. You'll need to select 5 of the following bosses to fight against. The more you have, the better, but 5 is the minimum. This method would have the lowest XP rate, as you won't be able to use overloads as they mess your health up too much to be completely AFK. But you can use super attack and strength potions, they just won't last the entire of the 20 minutes. There are 3 gear setups you can use while being as AFK as possible. Guthans, melee with absorption potions, and prayer. Guthans is done on normal mode with a minimum of 70 attack and defense. You don't actually need anything in your inventory at all, but supersets will give you a decent XP boost, even though they don't last the whole duration. Going normal melee gear plus an inventory of absorption potions is done in normal mode with a minimum of 60 attack, defense, and strength. Anything less and you'll probably just be losing points. It's a similar method to Guthan where you can drink most of your potions at the start and just sit in a corner forever and click once every 20 minutes to keep yourself logged in. A rock cake or locator orb would also be useful here, as enemies can only deal your current HP worth of damage against the absorption potions, meaning each potion can take up to 50 hits if you sit on 1 HP. The prayer method requires no points, much like the Guthan method, and I'd only recommend using it to get your first 100k points as it's more expensive. You just pray melee and click once every 5 to 10 minutes to top up your prayer. I'd recommend having at least 60 attack, defense, strength, and prayer so you can AFK for longer. This method requires the exact same quest as the previous, but you can add in any melee boss that doesn't have a special requirement such as Tanglefoot, which needs Sakaturas to kill, to increase your point gain. An Ancient Mace would be amazing here for when you get the Power Surge buff, which restores your special attacks very fast so you can restore your prayer. For the XP methods, we'll be using overloads with absorption potions and a rock cake or locator orb to keep your health at 1. Just like I explained before, absorption potions absorb 50 damage per dose, so if an enemy were to hit a 37 on you, the damage would be reduced to 0 and you could absorb another 13 damage. But enemies can't hit over your current health, so if you keep your health at 1, the damage would be reduced to only 1 damage, and then you would be able to take another 49 hits. I'd highly recommend you do this in hard mode, seeing as the HP of each enemy, and not the defense, will increase. This will lead to us getting a lot more XP and points. We'll also be using the following 4 bosses in addition to one of the previously mentioned bosses from the AFK method. These 4 bosses give additional XP artificially while fighting them, and will increase your XP per hour quite a bit as a result. If you're using the normal melee setup, you'll want to have at least 70 attack, defense, and strength to make sure you're making back the points efficiently. You could do it at 60s, but 70s are where you really start to get good XP. That being said, if you're 60, you should be using full obsidian with a berserker necklace and an obby sword. This will give you better DPS until you get bandos at a higher level or Darox. Darox is the best option out of everything in Nightmare Zone and requires 70 attack, defense, and strength to wield. It's also 75 HP to out DPS the obsidian and closer to 80 or 85 to out DPS normal sets if your strength is much higher. All of these sets will be using about 6 overloads, 20 absorption potions, a special attack weapon, claws or a G-maul are the best, but there's other options as well, and a rock cake or a locator orb. If you set your rapid restore as your quick prayer, you can turn it off and on once a minute to prevent your health from going above 1 without having to rock cake every minute. It's pretty AFK, but you'll have to click once every 5 minutes to restore your overlord too. Some people prefer to only reduce their HP to 1 at the point where they're taking the overloads, so they lose a few more hit points from their absorption potions than normal, but it reduces how much attention you need to give the game. Now there is also a super XP method, which uses prayer alongside the overloads so that you can hit the highest XP rates in the game. It requires 80 attack, strength and hit points, 70 defense and prayer. You'll be using Darox with around 4 overloads, 10 to 12 absorptions, a rock cake, a special attack weapon, a bone crusher if you have it, and the rest is prayer potions. You can make most, if not all, your money back from the points you make because you're on hard mode and killing them fast, and even more money if you're flicking piety rather than leaving it on the whole time. If you do well, you can easily hit 150k plus melee XP per hour, which is absolutely crazy. Now for the final method, the points method. It requires your attention for most of the time, unfortunately. You can look away as you're attacking things, but you'll most likely be needing to select each target individually and pay attention to the buffs that appear. We're going to be going up against most of the bosses and be removing some of the special requirement ones such as Tanglefoot and Elvarg. Here's a list of the ones you don't want to be against, but everything else you'll have checked. Again, we'll be using overloads and absorptions with this method as there are all attack styles used. We'll also be in hard mode to gain as many points as we possibly can. This method is very similar to the other Darok methods in the way we use overloads, absorptions and rock cakes, but you'll also need ice gloves in your inventory for when we come up against Farid or Flambid. Don't bring prayer potions as your prayer will be constantly drained. This means you'll have to rock cake down to 1 HP because you won't be able to flick rapid restore. The Gelatinous Mother can't be realistically killed as she changes forms, so you can just ignore her and attack other things. Unlike the other methods, you'll also want to be using all of the power-ups given. The only exception is Ultimate Force. You only want to use this when facing the Gelatinous Mother, Caramel, Camille, or the Culinarimancer. That name is ridiculous, I'm sorry, but all of those bosses slow your points down too much, so you want to kill them with the Ultimate Force as soon as you possibly can. Although a majority of the minigame is straightforward, there are definitely some tips that will help you improve your XP and score. Only the power surge buff will be useful for most of the methods, as most will just greatly reduce the XP you get. Power overwhelming may kill all the enemies, but you won't get any points or XP for them. Only in the points method is this useful, as some of the enemies aren't worth killing and slow down your overall XP and points. Don't stand in the middle of the arena, unless you're doing the prayer method, because you'll take damage from every enemy at once. If you stand in a corner, only 1 or 2 enemies will be hitting you at once. This will reduce the damage you take and your absorptions will last considerably longer. This also reduces the distance Dad knocks you, so you don't lose too much XP when he hits you. Don't bring a Sarah Godsword if you're using a rock cake method. They sound like a great idea in your head, but they restore HP as well as prayer, so they make your absorptions take more damage. Dragon Claws or a G-Maul are excellent options for increasing your XP, and an Ancient Mace will increase your prayer if needed. RuneLight has notifications to let you know if your absorptions or overloads are running out and will pop up. This is a good way to AFK and use a different window or screen without having to worry at all. I've already gone over it a little bit, but leaving your quick select prayer as rapid restore, as long as you're not using a different prayer already, will let you double click it to reset your HP regeneration much quicker than switching to the spellbook and doing it manually. You can add buying the 15 herb boxes to your daily routine. If you have the points for it, of course, as they're very slow to get because you can only get them once per day. But over the course of a week, it's just over $1 mil, so it's just free cash. I hope some of this has been helpful and you're able to get into Nightmare Zone and earn all of that XP. I always respond in-game or on Discord if you have any questions for me, so just let me know. Or if you have an idea for the next video, just let me know the same way. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time. Bye!
On the way down screaming, whoa, before we have this time, then we'll be alright.